All right. So I thank you for letting me come along today and go through magic with you. I've also got Trevor on the line. I think he is, but he'll tap in. He's going to, after the process, the agenda we're actually going to go on. No. Click the next one. Is I'm going to go through digital transformation, which is what we talked about before being a buzzword. I'm trying to make it more applicable to you guys and it makes sense to you. You're already doing digital transformation, but I'm going to help you with the magic. Now, how many of you actually have magic? Everyone? Woohoo! Woohoo! I don't have to go over the basics again. That's fantastic. But I am going to go across some of the things that you guys might not be aware of as well in the current version of it. Plus, I'm going to be going through Documents 8.6, so the upgrade. Some of you have upgraded. Who's upgraded one? You upgraded this week, didn't you?
Yeah, I went live online on Tuesday. There were some glitches.
Yeah, and we haven't done our training yet till next week.
But we had access on Tuesday.
Yep, so that's fantastic. 2 have gone. You're about, oh, okay, I didn't realise you're about to. So for those of you who have gone, some of the features of 8.6 are going to be familiar to you. For those who haven't, it will be, at least you can know what's coming. And then the second half of this session will be about where Magic's going to take things from this point on and what the future of that is. After that, I'm happy to take questions, and there have been some preset questions already, so hence I've put on the board workflow and distraction, because there are a couple of questions that came up. Now, we talked this morning about digital transformation. Here's what it actually means. But having said that, we're moving away from paper. We're already doing that. And trying to replace manual processes and try to automate things. And that's one of the themes from the RIMPA conference last week, was about AI and automating processes, particularly in our field of records management. So where I'm going with Magic and our digital transformation is to move away from paper and start managing information in its native format. So it comes in electronically, we need to capture it electronically, manage it electronically, and destroy it. So one of my key things in regards to that is capture it once, capture it properly and with everything you need. Use it as many times as you need to, and work with that information, and then destroy it only once. All right? Make that process simple and easy to use. Currently in the manual format, you need to do the searching, which is what Mike was saying before, the silos of information. It might be hard copy. You open the door to a room and suddenly you're faced with masses of paper, and either yourself or whoever needs to go through that. Digital transformation is trying to make that process easier. Drew, a bit trigger happy at the moment. All right, and if we're transforming to digital, we're provisioning the electronic capabilities, which will assist with risk management point of view. I've lost my mouse. I'll use my finger instead. All right. And where was I? So the risk management point of view, by being able to rely on information that is accessible, authentic, and in context, will in turn actually make your decision making more appropriate. And support the right decision making based on an accurate knowledge base. Okay. The transition to digital will also lead to new opportunities to provide better services to your staff, to your customers, which are your constituents, through easier access to information, because does anyone here have the publishing portal? No. That's another part of the product that actually allows counsellors information or access into Magic via a separate portal. So they're not actually having full access to the system itself. Or, and again, it's managed around using your securities and your folder structures and things like that. But that transition to electronic allows for you to be able to innovate and provide these sort of services that you don't or may not be able to do at the moment. It also allows for what is relevant, what's current, allows transparency and auditability of information, and opening up the opportunity in line with your organisational needs. So it's not just about here's Magic, put it in, but it's about talking to you about what your digital requirements are. Some of the stuff you might need to digitalise, some you might not. You were talking before, Michelle, about those big books. You wouldn't necessarily digitalise them at this point because of the fragility of the documents themselves. So you need to have to think about ways that you can actually do your digital transformation, but do it in a way that's going to work for you guys. Okay. Sorry. Well, I took a photo today, and I'm going to show you because I'm going to upload a mobile photo as well. So we'll go through that as part of this transition. All right. Now, understanding the why. Now, most of you will be across why. Why are we transferring to digital? What's the reasons for it? A lot of it's to do with, well, the main three areas we're talking about is structured versus unstructured. Now, you also talked earlier about structured information where it's already in systems you already have. That's considered structured, right? Unstructured data is the things like your emails and your social medias, your physical correspondence, those hard copy stuff. Now, the challenge that we have is what we need to identify as important and how to manage it. The amount of human effort around the resourcing and managing and these changing environments. It's not easy to scale these human efforts that we have to do. The manual processes we have to put together to actually capture this information and manage it. Now, you all know that there is a load of legislation around records management and information management. There's around about 80 pieces of legislation that we need to comply with, and it doesn't just talk about records legislation. We're talking about the legislation that covers other areas. For example, when I was working for Victoria Police, we had to manage information and records that came in, but we also had to comply with their legislation. So when we're talking about things like firearms, there's legislation required on managing the records for firearms, and it's actually stated in the legislation itself, but it's not stated in the records legislation, it's stated in the Firearms Act. So hence, when we talk about legislation, it is not just the Records Act, it's not just the FOI or the RTI. That's changed. You can tell how long it's been since I've been in, because it was FOI when I was doing them. Privacy, all those sort of legislations that you already know about. You need to know about the other sides of things. In your council areas, There's Building Compliance Act. Yes? Does anyone know that there's a records requirement in one of those? No? You just need to keep that hat on when you're dealing with records. It's not just about our legislation, but around the legislation that governs those areas as well. Okay, because they have stipulations on certain records requirements as well. All right, now we also know that information is growing in volume. Would that be a fair assumption to say? The amount of information that's coming into organisations is getting bigger, and it's becoming varied in the formats it's coming in. And we need to be able to manage that ongoing as well. Now, to address some of those, we need to manage the clutter in our systems as well. You know, you were talking before about you don't capture no, it was Michelle, you capture the whole invoice process, whereas you don't capture the invoices. Again, you need to, that's clutter or can be clutter. So we need to be managing the clutter in our systems, not just what we capture and capture everything, but be able to dispose of it too, in a timely manner in accordance to the legislation. So certain things like you've got the RTIs or FOIs, I digress, I apologise, versus things like your Retention Disposal Authority. You can say it's been disposed of and we don't have it. So you were saying you did RTIs. So you can actually say, yeah, doesn't matter whether it's 1 or 100. There are requirements. You can say, yep, it's actually been destroyed. So you've got to be able to weigh one off against the other as well. Now, having said that, when we're managing records in Magic, I need you guys to have a think about the destruction process. Who's doing destructions in Magic already? Court memories. Yes? How are you doing that at the moment? Court mem. Okay. So court mem. How are you doing that, John?
How are we doing that? We're using the native disposal functionality in that document like our process.
All right. When you say the native Magic process, what are you talking about?
Well, when we get into the disposal process,
yep. All right, how do you get to the end of the dispose process? I'm being really specific here because there's an aspect I want to talk about that you guys as organisations need to think about how you manage this process.
You want to keep the process in one go?
Well, once it's sentenced, what happens? Or do you sentence on creation? Okay. So at the end of the process,
we have a record series.
Yep.
Folder, named record series.
Okay.
Cut that and fold it off.
Yep.
And the retention period starts counting down, the disposal date is calculated.
Yep.
When it comes up, we get an annoying email. No expert. It also creates a task. Can't do anything with where the document in the folder as well as the folder.
Yes.
We ignore that. What we do is we run a report that lists all the documents and folders that we want to destroy. We take those folders to run a report.
Yep.
We also run a report that says, here's all the hard copy in those folders, go and pick them out. We get that report.
Yep.
We put it through a workflow.
Yep.
So we get it approved by whoever's been delegated authority to approve organisation.
Yep.
Then it goes to the next step, is to go to the hard copy from the storeroom. The next step is to destroy that hard copy and record your metadata. And then the last step is to destroy the digital, which is the display button.
Okay. Fantastic. Can I make it easier for you? Well, it will, if we can automate the process, and we have talked about this, and I think when we get new people on, we're actually doing this from the start. So we're actually sentencing information on creation.
This is where we would disagree straight away. Because I would say the majority of records
Yep.
under authority, the RDS and 480 can't be sent from creation.
This is where we have, this is where we go, two options. And you're right, depending on how your organisation goes, depending on how much work you want to do, whether you want to take a risk management approach to it. All right? Well, you are compliant because at no point can you destroy a document without it being approved anyway. So you still got to go through that manual process of signing off those documents, that list of documents anyway. Yeah. Now, having said that, this is where I can give you an option. We call that DOLA versus DOC. All right. Now, when I say that, I mean date of last action. Most of you know that as cut-off date. Yeah? And you have to go into each document and put off a cut-off date. Would that be a fair assumption? Yeah? Yep. The other option is you sentence on creation and you put date of creation being your first trigger. And then you put a disposal sitting period. Again, this is that risk management approach that you may choose to do. And if you do it date of creation, it then goes off to a folder. If you put that in place, off to the archive folder, sits in there for another couple of years or whatever you decide, because most documents have an active life cycle of about 2 years. Again, you still got to go through the process of assessing it before you can destroy it. So you already have a checkpoint anyway. But if you actually put a date creation, it can automate the process and is done in the background. And come the end of the time, so 7 years plus an extra 2 years, you'll get notified that, or you'll go through your list because it's automatically moved to a folder. You then go to that list and go, okay, what's due for destruction for the next 6 months? Go through that process of sign off and everything else. Still need to keep it. You've got the list of documents. You've got sign off on each one of those. You then keep that document because you put it through a task workflow seeking approval. So you've sent it to your manager saying, please approve. That's an auditable process, so an auditor comes in and says, what's the process? You've got it outlined. And then you can go and do your destructions from that point, which is, yes, choose that folder and hit delete, if they're all appropriate to delete. So I just wanted to identify that as a consideration. There are 2 options for destructions. You as an organisation need to make that decision on how you want to go through that. So that's where we disagree. Well, not necessarily disagree.
Yes, it is.
But again, it depends on whether you've got resources to go through that whole process and identify all of those folders. If you've got yourself, an organisation or a service like yourself that can do it, that's great. If we have organisations that don't have that capability, this is an alternative and an appropriate alternative. Still meets legislation and compliance because you still have to get sign off on it anyway. We'll have a discussion at lunchtime, I think, on this one. All right. Now, having said that, the amount of increasing information being required to be captured as from information required, what am I talking about? the variations of information that we need to capture now vary, or the amount of information. So you're capturing, how many of you are capturing websites? Anything off social media apart from what you print off or whatever. Photos, I assume you're already capturing. Videos, CCTV. As public organisations, unfortunately, they're records as well because they're evidence of the business that you do. Your minds might be exploding with the amount of information that you think you should be capturing or that you need to be capturing. So how are you going to actually do that? And how do you disseminate that information once you've caught it? Who can access it? Another one is, are we utilising the data to make the right decisions? Have we got access to all the information that you need? Are you able to tap into that information? Have you got those silos? Yep. All right. Do you, and this is where it comes to the social media side of things, do you know what your community is actually saying? Do you have the evidence to support the need for a new swimming pool out in wherever? Or another irrigation channel? Do you have the community feedback? Can you pull that information out to support the evidence or support that decision to go ahead with that change? May, you may not. But this is where we're talking about digital transformation, getting as much of that information into a place where everyone's able to access it, not just that siloed area. All right. There are other things that considerations we need to take into, or there are things we need to think about when we're heading towards digital transformation. So we need to think about capturing the information so that you have the right information to the right person at the right time for the right reason. So who's right? You need to be able to overview that information to the right person who has the authority to approve what you need. Okay. Now, I was at this point going to go over magic, but everyone's got magic, so I don't need to go over it. What I will ask though is, because at the end we'll go through some of the 8.6 demonstrations, but up here I've got a couple of issues I've already identified as some questions. Does anyone else have anything I need to put up here so I can demonstrate it on magic? Any pain points you have before I go into 8.6 and the future?
Well, I was just going to talk about uploading attachments to tasks.
Oh, okay.
So, like if someone rings in with a request for something to be done, then our officers go out and do that, and they take photos to either back up what they've done or to say, look, no, that's not our issue. Can we load up pictures that come back into that actual task, I guess?
At the moment, that process isn't easy in Magic. You can, but you still got to capture those photos as individual records themselves.
That's what I have been doing.
Yep.
And then linking the two of them, sort of thing, like making a new record of the photos and then just associating it to the original. But
you can add it to the task as an attachment.
Okay.
In the task itself, but you've got to register the photo as a record initially, then add as attachment.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I thought through one of my lookings, I'm sure it said upload attachments, and when I went to look to see before I came here, I thought, I can't find it now.
All right, so we'll go to doing that.
Yep, thank you.
Uploading attachments.
The customer index. I know a couple of people have problems with it, where if you are creating a customer if they just change their mobile number, for instance, you have to create a whole new customer. You can't actually edit it.
Okay, our lookup tables.
Yeah.
Yes, at the moment that's an ongoing issue.
Yeah.
And it's one that Magic's looking at, but I'll put that up here.
Yep.
And we'll talk about it a bit further. Anything else? Look up.
I had a problem when I used Document Navigator. I didn't know if it was to do with my computer or not, but yeah, Document Navigator, and I had an Excel spreadsheet up at the same time.
Doesn't like it necessarily.
No, and I went to the next document. Excel, it just chucked me completely out, and I had to go back in and lost everything that I'd done. So yeah. But when I spoke to Kim, she said she had the same problem, and I thought, oh, it wasn't just me and something I had done with the...
We'll look at Navigator as well. Yeah.
Paula.
Yep.
With the new 8.6 and the single sign-on, if you'd just be able to explain what it is, how it works. We don't have it in our upgrade, but ever since the upgrade, every time someone wants to edit a document or in the user workspace area, if they want to open it, they have to input their password, username, password every single time. It doesn't remember.
And you said you don't have single sign-on? I
No.
think you do.
Maybe we do. Well, if you can explain that today, that'd be pretty good.
Yep. All gone? Yeah? All right. I'll go through those. What I'll do now is continue on to 8.6 presentation. Now, with the 8.6, and I'll show you when we get into Magic, and some of you will know, the actual look of it is very different to what it was. It's a user-friendly interface now. Whoops, I've gone too far ahead. It's cloud-based. And with the cloud-based system, you can actually get the mobile app works on the cloud system. When we're talking about, it means it's web-based. If you're on the cloud solution, you can access it anywhere that you can get on the internet. I've been on and off it all day today on my phone because I've got the demo version of the mobile app. But I get into where I can log in here, and I have. And that's because we're on the cloud. All right. Also, the other thing about the cloud is you can actually have as much storage as you need. Okay, so, and that's one of the features going forward is they're changing some of that as well. It also means you can access it from any device, whether it's on your phone or your laptop or a desktop, if you're in your organisation. But that's only on cloud. If you're still on premise, you're on premise, you don't have the same capabilities. So I'd encourage you to go to cloud. All right. Now, with Magic Documents, with 8.6, there's now the single sign-on option. It's linked to your logins in the morning or whenever you log in, and you don't have to do your login except where we were talking about before. That's only because you're outside the system, and I'll explain that later. But single sign-on, people don't have to think about it. It's on the desktop. They just click in and they're logged in. There's also a new reporting platform. If you're linked in, who has performance as well? Magic Performance. No one else? All right. Magic Performance is our analytic and reporting program, and it deals with a lot of finance side of things, resourcing and all that. So what Magic Documents now has a connector to that, and you can actually start writing your own reports. in a more intuitive way. Okay. Also, the biggest change in 8.6 is actually the tasking area. It is a lot more user-friendly, I think. I don't know what you think of it. It's easier to see, it's a lot more. In 8.5, it's all listed. 8.6, it's a split screen similar to your Outlook. All your tasks are one side, your viewing panes on the same. So it's similar when you log into Magic anyway. Your file structure's on one side, your viewing panes on the other side. All right. Now, heading into 2000 beyond. Now, this is past my scope of things, so I'm now presenting on behalf of where we're going in the future. So what we're going to be looking at is not the current version, but the future part of it. Now, having said that, 8.6 has got some upgrades to it because there's been some bugs that have been found and some challenges that have been identified, which you'd know about. And we thank you for that because they're actually enhancing this to make it work for everyone. All right. Now, Magic Cloud. As I said, we're moving to the cloud. Apparently, we're encouraging most towards the cloud for a number of reasons. One is reducing the cost of ownership. So it reduces the capital expenditure that you have to put out to have an on-premise server. You've got to maintain it, update it, make sure it's in line with your current IT policies and things like that. With going towards the cloud, it's all in the cloud for you. It's Magic Cloud. Every organisation has their own secure cloud as such. All right? So if you're worried about information being in one big pot, it's your information. It's secured and only you guys can access that. Okay. Staying up to date. How many of you have had to do upgrades and pay for upgrades and go through that whole pain of that side of it? If you're on the cloud, it's automatic. It is a seamless process and it's done, everyone has the same software, it's the latest software. Hence in the cloud, it all gets done at the same time. Anytime, anywhere. So this enables staff to access Magic documents as and when they need it on any device. Okay, like I said, I've got Magic on my phone. At the conference last week, I wasn't lugging around my desktop or my laptop. I was using it on my phone. I can use it both the app or I can log in online because it's internet based. It's secure. Magic Cloud is architected, now this is where I'm reading off this, is architected on the Amazon Web Services. Who's IT orientated here? So you'll know what this means more than I do then. All right, on the Amazon Web Services platform in Australia, protected with an enhanced security including a two-factor authentication together with integrated disaster recovery to ensure high availability. Now, when I log in every morning, I actually log in as single sign-on, but I actually have to add another, what we call auth note number. So I have to put in another code for it. Now, I actually have access to, at the moment, 4 clouds. One of them is my corporate cloud, so Magic Cloud for us. One of them is our demonstration version, and then we've got 2 other clients at the moment that are going on to the cloud. And the good thing of that is I can actually get in and do things before it goes live to them. So one of them in particular, we're setting up, they're coming in at the base level, we're setting all the file structures, we're setting all the codes, all the, you know, the front end side of Magic is being done before it even gets to them. Now normally we would go on site, upload it and do whatever we need to. We can now do that through the cloud and they can get in and check it before it goes live. Okay, so they've got access beforehand too. All right. Scale with ease, including performance finance. Okay, this is where I was talking before. Whoops. Where I was talking before, enjoying the flexibility to quickly scale computing requirements, as well as other core modules such as performance, finance, payroll, HR, which is part of the enterprise system. Property and ratings. So this is the way we're going. We're not there yet, okay? We've heard you guys saying what we need. Now, as I spoke before, the mobile app. On my mobile app, I have it. You're welcome to have a look at it and pass it round. It's not available yet because they're still playing around with that, but I last week uploaded photos from the conference and I'll show you where they are on the system, and I will actually do one today. I'll take a photo of you guys and upload it. And you can see that it's loaded in real time. It's not delayed, or it can be delayed. Up to you. So, you know, you were talking before about taking the photos of that service request or whatever the case is. They're out on the road, they're having to come back, download the photo. Most people, how many of you take photos on your phone? Yeah. This way, if your service guys are out on the road, take the photo, upload it. All right. So what are we talking about with our Magic Mobile? We're providing the single mobile app to access the systems that customers are using, whether it's Magic Documents, Performance, or HR, Finance. That whole suite of Magic Documents is available on the mobile app. It's available for both, and again, this is iOS and Android devices, and deploy using the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. So in other words, I sat at work and went, where is this? Downloaded the app and away I go. All right. The key benefit is that you can use your phone, tablet, access important information, documents, functions, including documents and folders, and favourites. Who uses favourites here? Oh, I was going to say, if you don't use favourites, you should be using favourites. Please use favourites. Can't stress that enough, can I, Michelle? All right. And you can actually do searching on the mobile app at the time. So you're accessing it. All right. Well, unless you're in the cloud, it's not available unless you're in the cloud anyway. And you're not in the cloud, are you? So you're not on 8.6 either, are you? No, the 8.6 is in the cloud. No, you don't have to be on 8.6, but you do have to be in the cloud. Yeah. But on 8.5, you're not in the cloud anyway, are you? No. So yes, 8.6, because that's you can be 8.6 but not in the cloud.
And you have access to it, or not?
No.
No, you
no.
have to. Sorry.
No.
You have to be in the cloud.
You have to be in the cloud to have access to the mobile app.
Okay.
All right, now one of the other things is the limitation to the current workflow functionality is that it provides serial and parallel tasks. So in other words, it's only one way. Yep. And it's without the ability to incorporate logic within the workflow templates. So, you know, if you are looking, what they're looking at doing here is, I should read off the script, shouldn't I? Is also limited to only having one active workflow per document as well. And for information only to be applied to the same document. Our plan is to enhance the workflow to deliver conditional workflow steps and triggers. For example, if workflow step 2 is approved, then proceed to step 5. Otherwise, proceed to step 3. So it's going to start to become functional rather than a linear process. Another enhancement will be to allow multiple active workflows per document. So at the moment, if you have a task that's come into you and you need to send it off to someone else, like the services area, they're fixing a window, they might have to wait for the glazier to come in and do their task. At the moment, you would do an associated task, would you, or would you just send it to them? Yeah, depends on the process and depends on the organisation too. But this allows you to add extra workflows or steps to it. Okay, so it becomes active. Wait.
Do you mean like you can, when you submit it to workflow, you can do for your information to one person and then you can do action to another person?
That's where I think they're going, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I kind of think we can do that now. We can do parallel tasks, so we can send an FYI to someone and an action to someone else.
But that's 2 tasks, isn't it?
That's in the one step, which is 2 parallel tasks. But are you talking about branching? So you come to a decision point where you, if you choose this way, you go left. If you choose that way, you go right.
Yep.
And while I've got the mic. So to be honest, Magic Software has been promising us this since at least 2016. And that's the multiple workflows per document.
Yeah.
And the branching. Yep. And I know, because we're programmers, we're software developers as well, we know that these things don't just happen like that.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm a records person, I think they do.
But when you can promise something, you sort of, and that would make a huge difference to have those added functionality added in. And I imagine that would be, actually, InfoRouter would be doing the development on that part, because it's part of the InfoRouter engine that would be doing that. Does Magic Software have a hard commitment from InfoRouter to be doing those changes? Do we know when it's going to come, or is it going to be like in 2016 when it's coming?
I don't know. Actually, have I got Trevor on? I'll ask Trevor if,
Yeah, ask Trevor, ask the man.
Yeah, because he's the one who's across this, so I will actually more. Okay. No. I'll have to text him because I can't figure it out. Where's my phone? There. All right. Now, what was the question again? Commitment to complete.
Yeah. Does Magic Software have a commitment from InfoRouter to actually deliver on the multiple workflows per document and the branching in the workflows?
Yeah. Yep, it would. I agree with you there. Put my records hat on rather than my magic hat on. I agree with you. On workflow branches. I'll see if he's. I'll unmute him. Okay. No. Okay. Nope. No response. So I might have to get back to you on that one. I'll get back to you at lunchtime anyway.
Was that too hard a question for Trevor?
No, I think he's not on the line.
I'm only joking.
Unmute. No, it's not unmuting. Okay. All right, so I'll keep going in the meantime. But I've sent him a message anyway, so he'll respond to that at some stage. All right, again, this is future. Magic Office. Now you guys have got Magic Office in, haven't you? The way they're going in version 8.6, Magic introduced Magic Office document collaboration and web editor. Now the collaboration is not activated as such at this stage. That's 8.6 point something that they're going to turn that on. You can get in and you can see people editing, but it doesn't save it at this stage. So the functionality is there, they just haven't turned the switch. Which is delivered integrated viewing and editing of Magic Office, Word, Excel, which I note you said that you can edit but you can't save it. Was that what you were talking about in Navigator?
Yeah, but I was just using information from 7 different documents and I needed to update a spreadsheet.
Yep.
And so I'd get my information from this document, put it in the spreadsheet, and then I would click for the next document to come on. And then as soon as I've done that, then I noticed and I was like, oh, and it just threw me completely out of Excel. But they're not actually like I didn't think they were linked. I've got two screens. I had my Navigator here and then Excel on this one, but I hadn't opened up Excel through Magic Documents.
You opened it up separately?
It's just, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, separate thing, and I didn't know if that was just me with the computer, I don't know.
No,
So,
I thought you were talking about being in Magic, in Navigator.
No, but it's weird, so I'll probably change, yeah.
Okay. That might be one that I get online with you and actually see what you're doing. All right, in version 8.7, so we're now talking the next version on from here, we'll be expanding the document collaboration capabilities with the simultaneous editing and commenting of a single document or spreadsheet across multiple users. All right, now I've got a response from Trevor. Yes, Trevor, I've unmuted you. Yes, I have. I'll put. Okay. Yes, I've unmuted you, Trevor. I did unmute you. I am about to unmute you again. Can you hear me, Trevor? No? All right. I have. Sorry, guys. Yes, you're unmuted. Sorry, I've got him on the screen at the moment. All right. I don't know why you're not. Let's see. I will see if I can. Audio. Can you hear me now? Yes. Sorry, he's freaking me and he hung up on me. You hung up. All right, I'll put him on. All right. I'm calling you. Can you hear me now? You're on speaker.
Yeah.
All right.
So your audio wasn't, my audio's not going through your computer, is it?
It was, but it's not now. It's going on the phone.
Right, okay.
All right. So the question was, I'll hand you over.
Hi, Trevor. John here. Oh, really good, mate. Really good. The question I had was about the future mods to the workflow where you can have a document in multiple workflows and then introducing branching into the workflow path. So I'm imagining that Magic Software is relying on InfoRouter to do those changes.
Correct.
And I was wondering if you had a firm commitment date from InfoRouter then when they may be delivering this functionality.
We haven't got a firm commitment except in terms of the date. So that's it's something that we've organised with them and done the specs. We've written up the specs, etc. With them. So it's going to be in the next major release.
Okay.
So so I'm thinking towards the end of next year.
End of 2020.
Yeah.
Okay, because we all really want this.
Yeah. Well, I think it'd be a really handy feature because you want to be able to say if this occurs, like if they've included a photo, go to step 5, but if they haven't, then go to step 3.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly.
Yep.
So we want to put a lot of smarts in workflow because I think workflow is probably the second most important feature for Magic documents. That's going to be the best way of collaborating, especially when you want to even use it for document management and approvals and everything else. That's the key feature.
Yes, I think we'd all agree.
I'm going to keep you on the line now. I've got you.
Okay.
Because we're in the process of doing some the end of this.
Okay.
All right. Whoops.
Do you want me to go? Are you? Because all I've been able to do is see the screen. So you've been going through my earlier version of my PowerPoint. Is that right?
No, I updated, incorporated yours into mine.
Okay.
All right. So we're talking the real-time collaboration. All right. Photo management. Magic Documents provides organisations with the ability to store electronic assets in their native format, including photos and video and images. So you know how you were talking, capturing video photos, you're actually doing it and adding the metadata to it. The challenge for most organisations is that using their photos and media goes beyond standard document management. Right?
So Paula, I'll just add to that. Sorry, you know me, I just talk a lot.
Yeah.
That was actually a feature that actually came up. That was a suggestion from Douglas Shire. I don't know if Douglas Shire are there.
No.
At the forum, but that was from a user group meeting that I came up for probably about 4 years ago. And that was something that was raised by Douglas Shire and then a few other Queensland councils were very interested in that. Of finding a better way and an easier way to automate managing photos like that people take out on the field, being able to view those
those photos, and that's what this module is about.
Okay. So when we're talking about the proposed photo management module, it allows the bulk load of photos from folders and automatically tagging photo metadata such as the location, the title, the camera to Magic Documents, custom property sets, as well as being able to change the size and resolution of each of the photos, which is what you were talking about. Was it you or was it, no, it was Mike who was talking about having to pixelate faces out of videos. This module will be able to, would also provide enhanced viewing of photos with different size documents, thumbnails, and previews and downloading photos in the different image resolutions. So,
Paula, is this only going to be a feature of the Magic Cloud, or is this going to be added to Magic Documents as it stands now?
Trevor?
So this will be added to Magic Documents.
Documents in its original format or in the cloud? Does it matter whether it's on premise or not?
No, it doesn't matter if it's on premise or not.
Okay, thank you. All right. Oh, back. Video management. So that was photo management. Video management. Again, many organisations are generating terabytes of video. For example, fleet vehicle dash cams. You were talking about your fleet vehicle this afternoon, or this morning. CCTV footage and the storage of videos is an important consideration. Who uses YouTube for training? Anyone use YouTube? Oh, okay. That's one way people are going towards training now as well. So again, you need to be able to capture videos as well. And because of the size of the files, often hundreds of megabytes or gigabytes in size, the cost of high availability disk storage for Magic Documents and streaming using a URL means that the videos are often not suited to being stored in Magic Documents. The proposed video management module will enable configuration of different storage providers outside of the Magic Documents warehouse using the low-cost AWS S3 storage in the cloud. So remember I said earlier about the cloud has the capacity to have a lot of storage. The video management module will be developed within the Magic Documents Foundation and will have its own user interface to add video together with metadata. It will synchronise to the standard Magic Document Library by creating or updating a document shortcut to the video as well as the metadata. For example, description, custom property sets, etc.
I'll just add to that.
Yep.
The slide is not quite right. But,
okay.
So what happens is that a lot of the time people are having, the council vehicles, they've got vehicle dash cams. There's a lot of CCTV footage in the streets that you mentioned, and sometimes those files can be 200 gigabytes,
yep.
which can be as big as people's entire document warehouse. And it's not suitable to actually store them directly into Magic Documents because of their size. If anyone makes a change to that video as well, you've got another version, you'll fill up the disk space on your server in no time. So this is us storing the video on a low-cost storage medium instead of within Magic Documents, but putting a shortcut in Magic Document with all the metadata so people can still use Magic Documents to access the videos and the metadata, search on it, but the videos are just stored in a more cost-effective storage area.
So in other words, instead of keeping it on a hard drive out in the shed, we're keeping it in its native format in the cloud.
In a secure cloud.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. The video management module will also feature streaming enhancements to enable playback to large media files without having to download the entire file to the local cache as well. All right. Social media. Remember I spoke earlier about capturing information, and are you capturing social media? Social media posts such as Twitter, Facebook and LinkedIn are often used by the organisations like yourselves and are created, and as we spoke before, you need to be able to capture them. The proposed Magic Document social media capture would operate in a similar way to the Google Apps connector for the Web Workbench module, which authenticate connection to the social media platform to select the posts and register as a record in a single process. All right. Now, single sign-on API, or secure signing, sorry. Magic Software is a reseller of secure signing, comprehensive and secure SaaS digital signature service that delivers a full range of form completion and e-signing capabilities, combining advanced personalised X509 PKI digital signature technology with easy-to-use, simple-to-deploy compliance solutions. The e-signing solution can streamline an organisation's business processes so that they can electronically sign documents, which at the moment you can't do unless you add an extra process. So we'll streamline the business process so that you can sign electronically without printing and rescanning with a physical signature, so that, as well as saving money and time on printing and postage costs as well. So I'm assuming most of you, if you need to sign a contract at the moment, you print it out, you sign it and rescan it back in, yeah? This will be able to provide an automated process for that. How many of you have signed electronic documents or done electronic signatures personally, not work? Contracts, yeah. Banks, yeah. So it's the same sort of process. All right, also provides some real benefits with an organisation's need to have multiple parties to sign an electronic document, such as contracts. Okay. Currently, the e-signing process is not an automated solution, requiring multiple steps. To download the document, sign it and upload it again. We plan to use the secured signing API to automate the process so that it delivers a seamless experience for customers to e-sign documents stored in Magic Documents. So all your contracts, all your MOUs, your negotiations, anywhere where you need an actual signature. Did you want to add anything to that, Trevor?
No, the main thing is, like I said, at the moment we can do that, but it's a process where when you go into the e-signing portal, you actually have to download the document, load it into the e-signing portal.
Yep.
It sends out a link to all the people that have to sign it. They can sign it digitally, but then you have to download the document again and save it to Magic Documents as a new version. So what this integration will do, it'll be completely seamless. So within Magic Documents, you say, I want to send it to John and to Max for signing. It'll send an email to them with a link to the document. It'll people can sign it and save it as a new version as well once it's all finalised.
All right, thank you for that. All right, any questions? And in particular, if we deal with the future ones, so that we can let Trevor go if there are any. Here come Corp Mem with another question.
Good, I like lots of questions.
Yeah, you can answer these ones.
Mine are pretty easy. So with the Magic Cloud, I wanted to know, you said that like the updates automatically roll out. Can we delay those, like if we want to test if things work with it, or do they just automatically happen?
No, the still be a process where you can actually, you'll be notified before a new release gets installed on the cloud server. And so you can opt into a program to actually, like, we can give you access to a beta site so you can test any new changes first.
Okay, cool. And how long does it take to start up a Magic Cloud server in AWS? Like if we ordered one, is it like a matter of minutes or is it a matter of days?
It's like a day to actually set it up. The biggest process is actually migrating your existing environment across.
Okay.
So for a new customer, it can be set up very quickly. So we're just doing this now for a customer, for the City of Palmerston, who are just going through the process. Because to transfer your existing warehouse and your existing data, your existing instance, you still want people to access Magic Documents, work on documents. So because you've got like your internet link, depending on the speed of your internet link, if you've got say a 400 gigabyte or 500 gigabyte warehouse, that might take up to a week to transfer across to our AWS server.
Cool.
So we set up a synchronization tool where we take most of it across, while you can still keep using Magic Documents, and then we just take across any changes.
All right, cool. Yeah, that should be it, I think.
Yeah, the other thing just to consider with going to Magic Cloud that's important is also your integration. So if you're using things like Info Council, the minutes and agendas, and other tools, you just have to make sure that they often it's embedded in those third-party applications, what the URL is of your Magic Document server. You just have to get it to point through to our cloud server instead.
Cool. And if we have stuff that sort of hangs in like the info router extensions folder, we can just send, you guys take all that as well?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, easy. Cool.
Any other questions? Oh, any other questions for Trevor while we're here?
Yes, more questions from Court Mem.
Another Court Mem question.
Okay. Jan asked two of mine, so that's good. The first one's on the performance reporting tool. Does it access the web service, get the description of the documents yet?
Yes, it does.
It does. Okay, and so we can start writing our own reports. If we get that product.
Correct. Yep.
Right. Okay, that is fantastic news. Jan asked that one. Jan asked that one. When are we going to stop supporting IE 11 and actually be able to use the edit button from Chrome?
You can use the edit button from Chrome.
Not on my computer.
Right, okay. I can actually do it on mine.
Okay, so, and that's at 8.6?
That's at 8.6.
8.6. Okay, because
it'll work in Chrome. I actually use Safari as well.
Yep.
So I work on a Mac.
Okay, because if I hit the edit button, nothing happens. But you know how on 8.6 now, when you go to the properties, you've got a couple of extra URLs, and you got the WebDAV URL. If I copy that into the Chrome browser, then it opens and works, but it doesn't from my edit. So maybe there's something wrong in our environment.
Maybe there might be something wrong, or is that on the very latest version?
Yep. Well. Yeah.
Last week?
No, it wouldn't be last week's. No, it'd be about a month old.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can check that, but it should be working in Chrome. I know for me, it does work in Chrome because we don't really want to be supporting after the next release because Microsoft don't support it now. Either, really.
Okay. And you know, when we've got stuff in the cloud, what client are we using? Are we just using our web browser, or are we using like a thin client app like Citrix?
Yeah, you're using just your web browser.
Your web browser.
So there's no thin client, there's no virtual desktop or anything like that. You are literally just using your web browser. So it's a bit like if you're using like the Xero accounting system. other SaaS tools like that.
Yep.
There is nothing that you need to provision. There's nothing to store like as a virtual desktop environment. It's purely cloud web browser based.
Excellent. Thank you, Trevor.
That's okay. No problem, John.
Any other questions for Trevor? Otherwise, I'll hang up on you, Trevor. Any other questions, guys? All right, Trevor, I will let you go. Thank you.
No problem at all. I'm sorry I couldn't be there.
No, that's all right.
Yeah, it was nice at least to be available by phone.
Next year.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
send out the invitation. It's like 13 degrees in Melbourne as I speak. So I've actually got a jumper on because it's so cold. So I'm guessing it's a lot nicer there in Tasmania.
All right.
Okay, see you later.
See ya.
Bye.
All right. Now, I need to get onto Magic itself. Let's see if it works now. Am I there? Yes. I'll actually get rid of me in the corner as well. All right. This is 8.6. That's why I said it actually looks very different to what it did before. I myself like this. I find it a lot more user-friendly. It just looks and feels a bit better than it did before. I'm going to grab some water. All right, so the changes for Magic in 8.6, as you can see, it looks and feels differently. I'm logged in as sysadmin as well. The big change for Magic is tasks. Come on. Am I logged in? Yes, I am. There we go. We're chugging along this afternoon. All right, that's what tasks look like now. All right. Remember I said to you before, you've got your navigation pane, your viewing pane. All right. In this, you can easily see what's overdue, what is in workflows, the ones with the green. Those, they're workflows. So you can immediately see what's in a workflow and what isn't. You've got a funny look on your face. Oh, okay. All right. On the right-hand side is your viewing pane. So if we go into this one, notice that there are requirements and you can't actually complete this at this point. There's nothing. Remember before you could actually go and there's a complete, hit a complete tab. Can't do that at this stage because these requirements aren't completed. To do those, you just go in and click on them. So we want to read the latest document. It opens it up for you. And as soon as you open it up, it considers it's been read. So we get out of that. And notice it's now come up as green. All right. It's a lot more user-friendly, I think, anyway. If you disagree, please tell me. Or if you think we need to make changes also, please tell me. Again, go in and you can click on write a comment. Now you can either write the comment here, which is testing the documents. Oops, it would help if I was in there. And save. It will come down and under task comments. You can also add a document comment at this time, and that's one of the changes, I believe. You weren't able to add document comments previously, you can now add it in the same place. Although you cannot see when you go into search and do details, you still only get to see the document comments. You can't see the task comments until you drill down further. But at least in the task, you can see a document comment, and you can add a document comment at the time. How's it working for you guys?
Yeah, we don't do too much task-oriented stuff.
Okay.
Stuff we have is pretty simple.
All right, and I've put here approve or reject. It's fairly straightforward. Remember, we were talking about the auditing side of things, and to be able to say, yes, someone's approved or haven't. How many use this at the moment? I would encourage you to do it. You know how you have a suggestion or you want an approval for something, HR, you might have your performance evaluations go up and they need to be approved, that you've read it, that you agree with it. I can't encourage this process more. It gives you that auditability around who's done what, who's approved it, who hasn't. And approving may be just, I agree with what you've written. Okay? But again, that's around, from my perspective, a lot of this is around your records management processes. It's not the system. The system can do what you already have in place. Have you updated any of your workflows to include the approval side, Michelle? Yeah. No. You can. It's whatever you want it to be. All right. So it's only because there are those 3 requirements up here that say I have to read it, I have to provide comments, and I have to approve or reject it. That is whoever sent the task to me. So the assigner has identified what needs to happen for this task to be completed. Because once you've done all those, you get the complete task come up. And then you can complete it. Yep.
Paula, just back when you're saying you can see the comments.
Yep.
So that's my task list. Say it's been workflowed to someone else as well. Under that workflow, there's 2 people getting it. Do I see if they've made comments from that same screen, or do I have to go elsewhere?
No, you have to go back and look at workflow
So that's just
history.
putting your own comments in.
That has been taken on board as an enhancement request.
Okay.
You guys aren't the only ones who have asked for that. So that's in that pile over here to do. All right. So basically, once you get to this point, you can then complete the task. All right. And when you complete it, it then disappears off your list. Your list gets smaller. So you get to whiz through your tasks as well. Now, one of the things that came from users was this particular item here, which is your bulk action. Now, in bulk action, you can do, how many of you need to do a whole heap at a time? None? No? Some of the service requests might. You do? How are they finding it?
Well, I'm the one that uses the bulk, so yes, the task.
Well, you're awake now.
Our plumber doesn't have access to a computer, so
Oh,
once
okay.
he completes a job, he sends me notification. I complete it for him.
Yep.
So the bulk action is really good. If he waits a couple of days, he's got 15 jobs that he's completed. I can just bulk complete.
Go in and then do a bulk completion.
Yeah.
Yes. If I go in and do, and I'm not going to complete it, but I will show you what I'm talking about. I choose 3 or 4 of these and go to bulk action. Now, I have the choice of doing complete them, or I can open Navigator first and see which ones I've picked. So if you've got, say, 30 there, you might want to check them before you head to bulk completion. But then I'll go to complete selected tasks, and it will do a bulk task that will be on all of those. So you might say Fred Jones has left the organisation 3 years ago, because everyone's got lots of those sort of things, and you might want to complete his tasks because they're no longer valid. You want to do a bulk completion. You would then put in here, Joe Bloggs, task completed for Joe Bloggs, exited the organisation on blah, blah, blah. And then all those tasks have the same comment on them already. You want to be putting comments on tasks so that people know exactly what's happened to them. Yep. If those requirements haven't been met, it'll throw an error. So they won't bulk complete it. It will still put the comment on it, but it won't complete it. Now, having said that, you need to be aware if that person's already read the document, it will consider the document read, even if they've left the organisation. Okay. Close that. One of the other things we're slow. It's thinking.
While it's thinking, Paul, I've got another question.
Yeah.
Can you filter your task on workflow with this? I know that you couldn't previously, so I just wondering.
What do you mean by workflow?
Well,
okay, by things that are.
So in the My Tasks, I don't know if you've ever used the My Tasks, the standard task management tool from Wifo Router.
On the front?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, so well, it has a column there called workflow.
Oh, okay.
You choose workflow and it'll only show you tasks that are active, or depending on what you're searching for in that workflow. So, and we use that a lot. So if I'm doing R&D and I want to do my destruction workflows, I want to filter out, just show me my destruction workflows. So, and that will only show me destruction workflows. So,
I'll have a look. I don't do that. I'm still learning, so that's a new one for me. All right, it's not going anywhere. Don't you love technology?
it hasn't been our friend today, has it?
No, it's killed your presentation. We're struggling to get Trevor on the line. Hey, welcome to Records Management.
Paula, just a question on, so when we go to 8.6 and before it becomes live as such, is there any way that I can have like what you're doing here, a test thing, so I can conduct training to give the users notice, like this is what it's going to look like, rather than them come in one day, see it new and think,
yeah,
what do I do here?
I would be encouraging that anyway.
So how do I go about doing that?
We've got webinars on.
Okay.
There's a webinar, but it's an old one.
Okay.
This sort of thing, you can certainly be showing them. I don't think we did anything for you, did we, when you went live? If it comes to me, now I'm not the one who deploys them, I'm the consultant that goes out. We do the training that can come with it. I'm about to do another site and they're doing an overview training. So there's the option of doing 1 hour sessions, this is the update. So this is what sort of thing we're talking about here. Depends on what you want. You can do online training if you want to as well.
Okay, I'd have to work what's best for our council, but
I
think, you know, it's a good opportunity before we do it to prepare how we're going to deliver it, because if it just goes there and then they see all these changes, I'm going to have 10 people, what do you do here? How do you do this?
And again, it may be dependent on whether you go to the cloud and whether they have that available prior to...
Yeah, I don't think we'll be going to the cloud and before we get 8.6, but okay, thank you.
No, that's all right. Oh, now I'm going to... going to start again. All right, so I'm logging in. Whoops, wrong one. So this is single, not this one. That's the wrong one. So this is single sign-on. All right, go into, so they're all different ones. So everyone has their own cloud. I've gone into the demonstration version of it. You won't have access to the demo, no. Well, no one does except for Magic staff have access to the demo anyway. But I don't know. I'll take on board the idea of possibly instructional videos that might be worthwhile sending to yourself, or train the trainer aspects where we train you, and then you can take that and do with it what you want. There's another option as well. Okay, we're back live again. So this is where you were talking about my task list or in tray. I'm talking to you, John.
Sorry, Paul. I was daydreaming.
I'm getting tired.
Yeah. So can you go to a folder? We'll see if it's set up.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Actually, no. Yeah. So can you filter in here? So click on a folder and you get your other menu up. Here it comes, and you go to modules.
Yep.
And my tasks. And you scroll all the way to the right. So.
Oh, I see.
And I can go, if you click down and go action required, well, no, I mean actually, the drop-down box under workflow name.
Yep.
And
so I think that's still there because I'm in 8.6.
yeah, yes, so. But if you go up to action required, down. Oh, I'm not sure what library it's in. That one I thought maybe, try that. Click that.
Okay, action required. Yep.
Oh, is that one? Okay,
that's in the
so it filters all the rest out.
Yes.
So we can do it here, but not in the other.
Not in the task area, not that I'm aware of. Let's go and have a look. I didn't know you could actually do that. There you go. Thank you.
Yeah, it's really handy to us because, when you're sort of developing work tasks around people's activities, which is a really great way to do things, you can say to them, right, now you're doing this job, or now you're doing that job, and it just filters out everything that's not relevant to them.
Here's our filters. Now, I know it says assigned by. There is an enhancement they're working on at the moment being assigned to. Project, priority, due date. I don't think there is. No. So, in short, no. You'd still have to go through my tasks for that.
One of the other things I like about my tasks is that if I'm a library manager, I can see everybody's tasks.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Can you do that through here?
Not that I'm aware of. Right. Okay. Again, I'm not necessarily the one that's going to know that. I didn't know they actually existed, so because I don't use my tasks, because I don't do records management for my organisation. If I did, it might be a different issue. And if our organisation was had the same restrictions and legislative requirements as local government and state government does, We don't, so they don't necessarily capture the same sort of information or use the same functions. All right, so I'll take that one on board. Thank you for that. The other side of this is in searching. You can now edit searches so that it is linked to a specific area, so a group of people. So you know how there's a whole range of searches on your left-hand side? You can choose to only have this search for only, say, engineering, okay? And then it will drop out of everyone else's list. So, you know, when you, if you give people too many choices, they can't make a choice. So you can actually now narrow this to specific areas. So you don't want, sorry? Running.
Are you talking about the engineering department or the engineering folder?
That's the group, the user group.
Okay. Oh,
so
okay.
a group of users,
yeah,
the engineering group rather than the folder or anything else on that aspect.
All right.
Yeah. So say HR, you want them to be doing searches in, whether it's in their specific library or across the organisation. They may be the only ones looking at position descriptions. So that may be a search that you create just for them. Property searches, often used by most of the organisation, but people in, say, community services won't necessarily be looking for properties, will they? So you can narrow that down so they don't have that option. They can still do the search, but it's not an automated search. Okay. Also now in our control panel, there's a couple of changes under the users. All right, manage users. Here, if we go into the user themselves, properties, no, that's not what I was looking for, over on the side. Okay, why haven't I got access? Change status. That's normal, cancel. You can either be an author, change user type. You can be an author or you can have a read-only functionality. All right. So, perfect example would be what? Who would you only want to have reading documents in Magic?
Your RTI officers.
Yes.
Your RTI officers.
No, you want them capturing information too. Auditors. You don't want them going in and entering information in your system, do you? You just want them to be able to search it. You might only want work experience people coming in, you only want them to read things. So again, it's up to you. Also, if you disable a user, that frees up a license. Now.
So Paul, if you make someone a read-only user, do they get access to everything?
Based on their security, so their library policy security, your user security, their folder security. If they've got access, they can read. If they don't have access, no, they can't. But they certainly can't add information or edit information. Okay. Yes, spoke.
I do it with permissions. Do a lot of read only.
Yeah.
You don't want people editing and doing stuff that they don't even know how the system works. So most of ours are read only.
All right, cool.
But does the read only overwrite if they've got change permissions somewhere else? I'm a little bit confused because I feel like
You're either an author or a read-only.
Or read-only. So, but you said it still depends on your
security.
Security. So I could set up security now on 8.5
Yep.
to say you're in this group. This group only has read-only access. So I'm trying to work out why I can do this in 2 places now.
Well, you do it at one spot instead of 2.
That's what I'm saying. So if you do it here,
It's giving you an
I still have to
alternative
give
option.
them access to the library structure.
Yep.
The folders. So I've still got to put them in a security group or individually on those folders anyway. So when I'm doing that, why wouldn't I set them up as read-only? Why? I don't really understand why.
Well, because you might want to restrict them to read-only no matter where they are.
So
it's like an auditor. Yeah.
So if for some reason Michelle here was just terminated, I don't want her to delete anything. It's just easy to go, but she still needs to do her job. I can just go and switch her to read-only, and instantly, where she could delete things, now she can only read them.
Yep.
So that's what that's the application. Okay, thank you.
All right. Yeah. A lot of.
No, not really.
All right, so they're the major changes for 8.6. Now, one of the questions that I was asked was about workflows and wanted some extra information on workflows. Who does a lot of workflows in here? I know, Michelle, you do. And, sorry? Liz. Liz? Yeah. So, who asked the question about workflows? That came through the email.
We don't use many workflows, but I like the idea, and I was just wondering if you go in a bit more in depth about how to set them up and the options and stuff behind there. That was just my thinking. It's not something that we use or do on a day-to-day basis, and it might be.
I would encourage workflows. I think they're really
to learn more about it.
Yeah. I like the idea of workflows, and Michelle and I worked a lot on workflows. Now, I'm going to defer to you because you're doing it a lot of the time, and Liz, you might be able to add to this as well. What's the big thing about doing workflows? Not magic, but about workflows, because it comes down to a lot of this.
I don't know if I'm being really stupid.
Workflow is an automated process. So if something comes in, you can choose, like you've got one for finance. We did one for finance, wasn't it? Invoices. And
vendors, and we did quite a few for like vendor applications, for the likes of our events, and they come from Birdsville, so it became like it was chaos with the paperwork, and so the workflows worked really well. So they start at the top, work their way down, so that nothing gets missed.
So it's about a business process.
Yeah.
So you look at what.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm going with this, is there's a lot of preparation you need to do before you put it into Magic.
Yeah. If you get a letter you can upload to Magic and then just pass it to the CEO, and then he gets a message to read it. That's the simple.
Yeah, that's it.
Workflow.
Yep.
And then I just go for your information to so-and-so.
Yep.
That's all we're talking about.
Yes, that's what we're talking about. It is an automated process, what you do with that document. And this is where I was deferring to Michelle, because a lot of this, looking at workflows, is you've got to do a lot of work before you even look at Magic. Okay? Putting it into Magic is straightforward. The process for that is, here you are, you've created it. But to do that, you actually have to have that in your mind and have written it out. Would that be a fair assumption, please?
Like another one was facility hire. So basically, you have to get your CEO to approve it, because whether he's going to, whether it's going to be a donation or whether he's going, someone has to pay. So it starts off with the CEO, then it goes to the deputy CEO to give us a code, then it goes on to the next person to let the Parks and Gardens know that we have a unit or a bus that or the hall or whatever. So it goes on to the particular people and to give them, so they know. So they'll look in and say, oh, I've got something coming up, but it doesn't actually come to them until the rest of the process is done. So basically, the person's not chasing. It could be 6, 7 people up to have that process done. It automatically is done because it comes to you when it's up to you to say you're doing the receipting, or and then at the end, okay, we need to know if the facility was left in a good state or not in such a good state, So and it works really well. It's been working really well, and it's
the whole point of and one of the other things about workflow is, remember we were talking about digital transformation. It is taking you away from that paper process. Yeah, but as I was trying to say before, a lot of this you've got to think about and map it before you get to actually putting it into Magic. The putting it into Magic part of it is easy, and this is where I put my records hat on rather than my Magic hat. And Michelle and I worked through several of these workflows like this on the board and actually identified it. Once that was done, we then put it into Magic and tested it from there.
It makes it really easy, and it's it's that chasing up all the time, and then all of a sudden, someone's ringing up and saying, "Oh, look, I've booked such and such, but there's nothing there because the paperwork's got lost or someone hasn't been told." And the process, like when you've got towns that you're dealing with, birds for, we're both 200 k's apart, so we need to have them know who's coming into accommodation down there. We know, and facility hire, and the same with vendor applications. So everything we can possibly is putting it on the workflow, and our CEO is really for it. So if people are sending him emails and saying, "Oh, can you please approve this?" blah blah blah, he'll send it back and say workflow, which is really great. So he's supporting that, and that can change, especially in the finance side of things. Because it's got to get back to the finance guys to do their receipting, invoicing, or whatever they have to do. So the workflow can change a little bit, and if they need postponed, for instance, because a lot of them will come in now and may not be until 6 months or a time. So you can put in the different dates that you want there, and you can just forget about it, and you know that you don't have to worry about chasing it up later because it's going to remind you it's coming at the time, and that works really well. It takes that, forgetfulness out, and people chasing up things, which is really, really good.
How are you doing it, Liz?
I tried to deflect it to her, but she picked up on it.
Yep.
Basically, we're using workflows just as a one step at this point in time, but to different offices. So we set up the workflow. If we've got a facilities booking come in, we then send it to two offices at the same time, and then they liaise with each other who's going to do it or whatever and things like that. So we don't have, at this point in time, a workflow that goes through, other than our detention and disposal workflow, which is our back end. But just, that's how we have workflows. And then when someone leaves, we just change the person out, or if they change jobs. And
You can make them steps, and this is where Michelle and I were talking about, is before you have to do a certain amount of work, whether it is it came in that was to the service request was we need to do such and such and such and such. There might be 3 tasks you need to do before you can go to the next step. Now, is that what you were talking about, steps rather than tasks? Yeah. Again, once you've mapped it, you can then go in and easily create them by just going into your modules. And if I go into the document library, now you already create workflows. Do you actually create workflows? No. Do you want to? Yeah. Yeah. Again, records hat versus Magic Hat. If you need to do that from a records point of view, you're going to have to. If you can use Magic to help everything else, that'll make that side of it a bit easier. So if I'm going to create the workflow, which is what you were asking about before, it's under Tools and Work Definitions. All right, so if we've already mapped it out, so we've identified that there's however many steps, we're going to create say a new one. Name the new one, which will be Testing Queensland. All right, we're going to do it in where it's going to be is in the BCS. All right. And we're going to leave it at that. So we're going to OK that. Now we've created a new workflow. We're going to actually add the steps to it. So where is that one? Yep. And let's add steps. Now add a step. Now you need to add steps because that's chunks. And in those steps are the tasks. So your first step will be open the document. Maybe. I'm flying by the seat of my pants at the moment because I haven't done my preparation work. Records hat on here. Do your mapping first. All right. Now I can choose this document to start at a particular folder. So once you've entered it and you captured it and you assigned it to a workflow, it can move to a folder. And this is where we're talking about automating things, particularly for disposal side of it. I myself like to sentence on creation, do everything right at the start because I'm happily panned up. I'd rather do a shortcut and a lazy way of doing records. Do it all at once and then let it happen. All right. So I can choose to, but at this stage I won't. So I'll OK that. Now that's created the first step for me. Now, because I've got that step, I've still got a task to do. So I have to add a task. Task is whoever it is. Let's go to, I'll do sysadmin, add. All right, task name is read the document. Scrolling through, task instructions. Again, the deadline, make sure you give people enough time to do it. Allow time span, the reminders, you get task reminders. Does anyone use task reminders? You do. I know you, you do as well. Yeah. Do you use workflow as well? Do you create workflows? Okay. Well, you can after this. Do your task instructions. Again, here you've got escalation processes here. So if Joe Bloggs is taking his time and not getting through the task, he can then, it can be escalated to his supervisor or whatever the case is.
And that's where you add the attachment. At the bottom, it says, if you put in there,
add
that you have to
attachments.
apply an attachment. Now, when we first
'Cause
started,
we
we
did
were
that.
like, and all the boys, I can't attach, what's going on, what's going on? You actually have to have it registered in IX before you can.
Which is what I
attach it.
said to you
But that's-
before.
So they have to attach photos for the next person to see. So once they've completed
That might be
their task,
helpful
they
for
can-
your guys.
It goes, as I said, goes on to the next one, and they can see the photos and, yeah, make comment or whatever. It works well.
Yeah, it's particularly helpful for the works guys, isn't it?
Yeah, very helpful.
Yeah. But that's where I'm saying you guys have got the opportunity, as long as you map all of this beforehand, what do you require? Because that was one of the things we found out you had to do, save the document when we were testing yours, didn't we?
And the beauty of it, that there wasn't 10 copies of the one document being handed around, and it might be here or it might get lost or whatever. It was one document that is registered, and it starts, you bang, hit that workflow, and it just goes to every single person that has to do something with that document on the process. So it was really good having a session with the people, like particular workflows, like our facility hire is a big thing, our vendor applications, another really big thing. So get together with the people that are involved and say, what do you have to do? Then you're writing down those task details. So basically when I'm doing it up, I write in the task instructions exactly what I want them to do, and they have to reply to everything on that task, otherwise it's not complete. And basically it's an audit thing. So we changed all our forms, because you had to go so and so to sign and this to do this and that and everything else, which didn't work. So this was an audit trail that proved everything once it was approved, rejected, whatever.
Hang on, Tick, I actually didn't do that. Well, hang on. Non-Magic says you approved it, so please explain. Again, My Records hat, and this is where you guys are really important in this aspect. You guys can actually drive this change and these business processes in your organisation. Magic is a tool you can utilise to do that. But you already have the knowledge and the understanding to put these maps together. You know the business processes. You're the records keepers of your organisation. You know the information that's coming in and what you need to do to manage it. So you can start, as Mike was saying, you know that there's a change required. You make it happen. All right? Like I said, Records hat on, not Magic hat. And I can't encourage you enough to do this. Magic is your tool to be able to implement it. Again, lots of preparation. So those business processes that you want to look at, please, 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 as records keepers, we also need to keep in mind we have to include everyone in that process. All right, even go and have a chat to the service guys. Go and chat to the chippy who's going to do it. Go and chat to the community service person that you're actually looking at this business process. Make them part of the change, because if they're part of it, they're going to use this system. And then they're going to want to know how they can use it better, because you're actually showing them some benefits. You're saving them some time. You're giving them some ability to actually monitor these tasks that they have to do. They can then go, yes, I'm a public officer. I can prove my job. I can give you the evidence that I did what I was supposed to do, because you've tracked it all. You've got the audit trail in the tasks. You've got the business process already outlined. Okay?
At pre-start, I've got them to the stage where every morning, like after pre-start, they'll go and check. So see if any task workflows have come in for the day, and they check them. Don't worry about them. If there's nothing there, wait till next day. So.
I'm just wondering, we've applied an action and return workflow for our organisation, because a lot of things seem to disappear from records and they never come back.
Yeah.
And there's that accountability for the end user to return those documents. So if somebody puts in they'll put in a workflow to us requesting a document, we will then get that document and we'll send it by internal mail. But it goes through the workflow so that when they receive it, it's been sent, like we've actioned it and sent it, and then it's up to them what they do with it. So if it's a contract that needs to be signed and returned and mailed out to another department and won't be returning to us, they need to put that in the comments.
Can I ask, why is this not captured in Magic? Are you talking a paper copy?
Paper, yeah.
Why?
Am I off track?
No. I'm digressing. I'm putting a records hat on here and asking, why is it paper? There may be legitimate reasons for it being paper.
Yes,
I don't know.
contracts
That's
and
why I'm
leases and
asking.
stuff, yeah, but because we deal with our mail, we open it and
if you scanned it in, it's then available to everyone, isn't it?
Yes, but sometimes they might want something for some reason, I don't know. We can't dictate to them, but we just, that's our job at keeping an eye on this document, because then documents end up in people's desks and offices, and then they leave and no one knows where it is.
This is where we start to get you to use, and start to get you to use it electronically so it's available to everyone. Then there's one single copy. You can drive this.
Yes. Oh, we
you
do
don't
have
dictate,
it in.
but you can drive it.
Yeah. But
and
for
you
us,
can. Sorry.
For us, that was what we put in place to, because it's always records' fault when something goes missing.
Yeah.
So it was
goes missing. It's in records because it's everywhere.
It was just something we put in place to also make other people accountable.
Yep.
And there is an audit trail. There is a workflow trail of where this document has gone.
Yeah.
So if they send that on to someone else, that's documented because it hasn't come back to us.
Okay, no, it was just like I said, a records question. I wear both hats, so. Do you use expiration dates on your contracts? Yeah. All right, it's getting close to lunchtime. It's past lunchtime. Did that answer your question for workflows? To me, the actual, the process of doing it in Magic is easy once you've done the preparation. So like any of I suppose, the system set up, once you've done the preparation side of it, implementing it into Magic is fairly straightforward. All right. Any other quick questions? Otherwise, I'll leave it. Yeah. So I'll be around. So I'll be around for the 2 days. So you can pick my brains or torment me or whatever the case might be.
I'm sure in our open forums we probably have.
Please do. Please do.
So thank you very much, Paula.
Thank you.